I think the most important message is that generative AI is transforming the law right now. This is not a future talk, which is unusual at the Media Lab in some ways. You know, for those that may not have known, one of the first tests that came right out of the box with the evals and benchmarks of GPT-4 was the bar exam. Mike Pomerito and Dan Katz and others, Pablo, set that up as part of the test suite to evaluate the capabilities of this technology. It aced the bar exam. There's a recent paper called Better Call GPT where they tried a different kind of approach, more qualitative, testing how well the foundation models did versus junior associates at a law firm based on a gold standard of contract review from senior attorneys, and then blind testing between the junior lawyers and the LLM. And it did very, very well. So this is not a future thing. The capability of large language models is uncannily well suited to legal tasks and processes. Incumbents are transforming right now. Westlaw, LexisNexis, and others are infusing generative AI into their products and services. And very interestingly, there's a whole new generation of startups and with completely new types of business models and offerings for how law can be packaged and composed as a service thanks to this technology. At MIT, we've been exploring computational law for a while, and generative AI has been the sole focus of the research unit here since December of 2022. Part of what we do is publish our publications, the MIT Computational Law Report. We use that as a way to keep track of the good ideas from around the world and what's happening. We also do a lot of convening, and we kind of propagate best practices. For example, in February of last year, we convened a task force for the responsible use of generative AI for law. That's basically looking at how the professional codes of ethics apply to lawyers that are relying on generative AI as part of law practice. We weren't sure what we'd find. We thought there might be gaps. Turns out that the existing rules apply perfectly well to this technology. There wasn't a need for new rules. There was a need to better understand how the rules apply to this novel technology. So confidentiality is confidentiality. Now we have to think about what the terms and conditions are if you have an outsourced model provider and what they're doing with your prompt material, for example. So same rules, but we kind of help people think that through. This has been very successful. The state of California has adopted our task force outputs, and it's now promulgated as regulation of California attorneys. Also, the country of Argentina and some other US states are looking at it. This is good, but partly because this is saying it's here, it's good, it's well suited, use it, and also take care. So don't use it, without having a concept of how to manage, how to understand, identify, and kind of mitigate the risks and the flaws, because it's not perfect technology. It is prone to errors and hallucinations, and we can manage that and still get the benefit of the technology. Okay, so I keep asserting there's benefits. So what can it do? Here's just some quick examples. It can brief a case. This is like sort of first-year law school stuff. You read a case, and there's a certain format for how you identify the issue and the reasoning and the ruling. It's really good at that. It can do contract review. I mentioned Better Call GPT. I do this all the time, especially in consulting. E-discovery, that's when you're getting documents from the other side in litigation. The first threshold question is this relevant or not to the document request? Relevance is a really good fit for the type of inference that large language models can do, especially the powerful ones. Mediation. In our last open workshop in January at law.mit.edu, we had a celebrated mediator with a global reputation show how she uses GPT-4 as an integral part of her complex mediations, getting interesting ideas and different ways to frame issues, looking at where the areas of consensus are, sometimes even helping some of the disputants to communicate what they're trying to communicate, maybe with a little bit less heat. Whole bunch of innovative ways. We're just scraping the surface now of how this can be used for a variety of legal tasks and processes. Statutory analysis is where I live. My first legal job was a legislative aide, and I do a lot of statutory analysis in commerce and just in life. it's pretty good at statutory analysis. I put in the new Privacy Act, and it gave me a very good section-by-section readout and answered hypothetical questions about, under these conditions, would a consumer be able to get their data, yes or no, and why, cite to the part of the bill. This is good. You want it? Did you notice what the common thread was in those examples I gave? It's that we're starting with, we're giving it a context. Here's the statute I want you to analyze. Here's the contract I want you to review. And then prompting it with an instruction. That's the sweet spot for this technology. So frequently attorneys and people in every profession will ask a question, like it's a magic 8-ball or something, and it will know the answer. It's hard to get that needle buried in the training data set, but when you ground it with the relevant information, it can reason over it remarkably well. So what else can you do beyond these sort of like one-off, like kind of one-to-one obvious fits? One of the things that we're doing is we're going to see what the entire corpus of law looks like. One of the reasons I went to law school was because I wanted to know what the law is. I don't feel I got a straight answer to that question to this day. You learn parts of law. You research answers to specific questions, but we can't contain it within our mind. In fact, we've never even been able to express it completely. We do use things like taxonomies and head notes. These have been inherited largely from like decades ago sometimes, and we update them a little bit, but these are taxonomies that are somewhat arbitrary. It's sort of like a librarian came and did a Dewey Decimal System. The law is vastly more complex. We think that by vectorizing it, the entire corpus of statutes, regs, case law, federal and state, and doing some clustering, we can find out what the law actually is. And we may discover areas of law that we didn't have a name for before because of the conceptual semantic similarity. That's been done in the country of Australia by Umar Butler, who's a data scientist in the Attorney General's office of the state of Victoria. He's now on a team, an open source team here in this lab, helping us do the same thing in US law. We're also taking time from all the statutes, regs, and cases so that we'll do ours with a slider so you can sort of see how the law has evolved over time. So looking over the horizon just a little bit, like 2024, what's coming, agentic AI, using basically setting up some scaffolding around this powerful new cognitive technology so that a user can set a goal, and the agent-based generative AI kind of harness can figure out for itself what the individual tasks are, and the searches and the reasoning and the outputs from one phase become the inputs to the next to achieve that goal. This is already happening. I see someone from Multigon is here, and there's a number of people here who I know are pursuing agents. This is going to blow wide open in 2024. OpenAI, Anthropic, and others have been talking about things that they're ready to drop, and there's things coming from other circles as well. This is going to be huge for law, which is arguably processes of processes is law, you could say. GPT-5 is coming, we're told, and what that's going to change, who knows? Maybe it will start to have theory of mind, maybe it will certainly be able to do better reasoning. If it's a step change like 3.5 to 4 to 5, it's going to be remarkable, and our current assumptions about what it can and can't do will be blown away. It's dynamic. And the final thing is infinite context. So I was saying how important it is to put the context in order to get the highest quality outputs. But there's a context window, and it can be relatively large, 200,000 tokens for Opus with Claude, 1 million tokens for Gemini Pro 1.5, but that's still, like, I can't put all the relevant law in. I have to still make choices. There's a paper that came out just like a couple weeks ago called Leave No Context Behind, and they came up with one very interesting way to basically make it no context limit. What if we could put all of the law into a query? What if you could put all of the records of your business as you're doing strategy or looking at ways to, in a liquid way, adapt to a market? Infinite context is going to change everything. Longer term, no idea. And I think that pretty much wraps up what we're saying. I hope that you'll consider agents as a personal liberation method as well. It's not just for business, but personal AI, I think, is going to be perhaps the most profound capability that arises from this sea change in technology. Thank you.